So the Xbox Series X has been out for about 5 years now, and I feel like I'm somehow a minority for still loving this thing even today. On one hand, you have Microsoft, who has stripped away a ton of value with both price hikes on the console itself, as well as Game Pass, but on the other hand, you've also got the PC components market absolutely dissolving in terms of affordability due to our AI pumping overlords, which has somehow still made this system a viable option for anybody actually just trying to play video games. Now, whether I'm just coping or it's me in love with a system I already own, there's still a lot of value to be had in a console like this, and I think some people will still really dig it. As far as where I'm at right now in life and why I love it so much isn't really specific to the Series X itself, but rather consoles in general. Throughout all of 2025, my resolution wasn't to be more productive, but rather the opposite, and to sort of just slow down a lot. And specifically, consoles like my Switch 2, my PS5, the Series X, and even the Series S truly helped me actually take a step back, play some more video games, and give myself permission to actually decompress. Now, where something like this comes into play for me at least is while I still love my PC gaming, something about vibing out with a controller is just simply so much more relaxing versus using something like a mouse and keyboard. And sure, while the experience is objectively worse than my PC, it's still hard not to love the console experience overall, which is largely still uncompromising when it comes down to gaming and media. For myself, as a tired-ass dad with incredibly limited time to play in general, my favorite thing to do after a long day is to simply throw on one of my vinyl records, make some dope-ass coffee, and play some flippin' video games. At this point in my life at least, I'm truly not really chasing specs, but rather the experience overall, and I simply just want to play video games, and to me, that's all that really matters. Now, I probably sound like a bit of a fanboy at this point, and this video might honestly come across as a bit of a love letter to the Xbox Series X, considering all the doom and gloom surrounding this system, but honestly, I really just don't care. Frankly, one of the things about the Series X I love is the fact that it's not a PC, which does sound sort of the opposite of what most people would typically want, but when I turn this thing on, I'm literally turning it on just to relax and decompress. I also appreciate the pure focus on whatever I'm doing with this system. What I mean by that is I'm not tabbing out to browse Reddit, I'm not checking emails, I'm not tempted to jump into any sort of YouTube scripting or whatever else. I'm literally just turning the system on to game, to catch a show, maybe watch a movie, and just have a good time. As a tiny ass console as well, I truly just love how compact this thing is, and even today amongst any and all consoles and tech in general, the Series X is by far my favorite looking piece of tech. It's truly the only system that actually looks minimalistic, like a piece of decor versus a game console, and I personally just really dig that. I also really love how easy it is to move this thing around, whether I'm going to be vibing out on the TV in my bedroom or just moving it over to my desk setup. It's just something I like having the ability to do. Right now I do have it in my desk setup mainly because I seem to lock in a little bit more when it comes down to certain games, and I've been surprisingly enjoying Black Ops 7 multiplayer alongside something a little bit more chill like Expedition 33. Now quickly, I do want to give a huge thanks to HBADA for sponsoring a portion of today's video. Apart from my Xbox Series X, a huge upgrade to my desk setup has been their E3 Pro chair. If you've somehow not heard of HBADA already in the past, they're actually a global leader when it comes down to ergonomic furniture, and they've actually been a top seller 3 years straight across the US, Europe, as well as Japan. Now naturally, since I am big on tech that actually works well, I do got to talk about the floating lumbar support here, which is actually a world's first. These wings do rotate 40 degrees internally as well as externally, so as I shift my weight around while gaming, this chair does stay wrapped around my big waist. And while I'm not throwing down 12-hour sessions like I used to, this does help me feel limber for my aging millennial body. The adjustability is wild here with a total of 22 adjustable points. The 4D headrest here does have dual axis 70-degree rotation as well, which fits my neck and big fat head as well, whether I'm locked in gaming or just lean back and vibing out watching some anime. Now I will say my rippling muscly arms do remain comfy on the 60 armrests as well, since these don't just go up and down, but they also rotate and fold up to 40 degrees, which is actually perfect for holding my Xbox controller while still keeping my shoulders relaxed, just something I've never really had in a chair before. Overall, the E3 Pro is built incredibly well with a high elasticity mesh that does keep my body from overheating or getting stuffy, and for the times you do want to flex on people, you can just kick back with the retractable padded footrest. Combined with the 140-degree recline as well, this is practically built for vibing out in your desk setup, and it's hard not to enjoy. This does end up making this a serious Herman Miller alternative at a fraction of the price, and since Gen Z is also old now too, you can join millennials in keeping a healthy spine by checking the link in the description to learn more about the E3 Pro. Be sure to use the code here on screen for 5% off, alongside free shipping and a 3-year warranty. Huge thanks to HBADA for sponsoring this portion of today's video. To dive more into gaming on this Xbox though, as somebody who does already have a beast-ass RTX 4090 PC, some way, somehow, I actually still think the system is incredible when it comes down to how things actually look, alongside the performance. Since I've had the pleasure of playing games at a native 4K and all that, I can't help but just be impressed with whatever upscaling or whatever else they've done on this system when it comes down to the actual gaming at a 4K resolution. Naturally, of course, it's not going to be the same, but I'm also really not putting this thing side to side to my PC literally ever, and everything truly looks amazing when it comes down to gaming. The fact that this console is 5 years old at this point and it does this well even still is actually pretty commendable. What does it for me though, apart from the 4K resolution, is the auto low latency mode and the variable refresh rate. Why it's value to me at least is before this console even released, I was actually primarily a PC gamer for the better part of 15 years, so I was accustomed to playing at those higher refresh rates and smoother frames. It's also incredibly versatile depending on the game you're playing, and right now for me it's going to be between two games specifically. Black Ops 7 has me getting absolutely dusted by these 12-year-olds every 2 seconds, so I have become a bit of a grandpa camper, which is the only way I can actually play this game at this point it seems. Still, I can definitely appreciate the 120Hz fluidity in a game like this. It truly is insanely fast-paced as well, so while I can't really keep up anymore, I still find my own way to enjoy this game. Games like this and Marvel Rivals are easily some of the best recently to help take advantage of the ALLM and VRR, and it really does feel as smooth as if I were playing on my PC, so something I can personally appreciate. For some reason though, when I am playing Respawn Simulator, I don't really get as pissed off using controller versus playing on a PC. I'm not sure why, at least. I think it's because I'm more relaxed in general. But separately from shooters though, Expedition 33 is a fidelity gem of a game, and it truly is beautiful. I can see why this won Game of the Year, and I've committed January to finish this game fully, and I'm happy that both these games are on Game Pass. And even still, 5 years after launch, Quick Resume is still one of the craziest features on this system. I can even unplug and relocate my Series X entirely, and Quick Resume will still continue my game in a matter of seconds. It simply boggles my mind how this doesn't exist on PC or PlayStation at this point. Still, the couch and controller experience is really what pulls me into this system. As I spend an absurd amount of time with a mouse and keyboard daily, the comfort of a controller simply calls to me. As for whether or not the Game Pass is actually worth it, if I'm completely honest, it's not worth it for me specifically, but there really is still value to be had depending who you are. Where I used to actually subscribe monthly, I really just can't justify it anymore with the recent price hikes, which brings Game Pass close to about 50 bucks Canadian after taxes, and for me that's kind of crazy. As somebody with limited time, I'm simply not crushing game after game as I once did previously, and dad life has me on a single game for like 4 to 8 months at a time. With that, Game Pass can still be incredible value for anybody who really does have a lot of time to play games. Giving myself a tiny ass New Year's resolution to literally just beat Expedition 33 within the month of January has made this an economical option, since it is cheaper to sub for 1 month versus buying the game outright, and I won't really continue my subscription into February. This is primarily the only value it has to me, but still the library on Game Pass is wildly extensive, and these day one releases are still somewhat tempting. Likewise, I can say it is pretty badass for Game Pass to cross over to PC as well. If for any reason I do truly want to jump into native 4K gaming, it's all still there, which I can definitely appreciate. Again, for myself, the value is diminished enough though that once I'm done Expedition 33, I'm probably not going to continue my subscription until I can find another game that I can commit to. But going back to how portable this console is as well, I can't help but place an irrational amount of value in the all-in-one aspect of the system and simply how easy it is to move around. As much as I love having the ability to keep this in my desk setup as I would a PC and sort of having my own space and solace and all of that, slapping this Xbox into my living room where I can sort of just vibe out with my wife and kids and play games that we all actually love is corny, yet absolutely priceless. And sure, it's not that I can't build out a tiny ass PC and do all of that as well, but honestly, I really just don't want to, and the Series X already gives me everything I need in a smaller and relatively more affordable package. And as much as I dunk on Game Pass and its miserable pricing, my 5-year-old just got into video games with the Switch 2, and the world of games for kids on Game Pass is actually pretty incredible. I can say it'd be pretty painful to buy all these kid games for them just to be duds, and she's been having a blast with a ton of them. Not to mention as well, simply just being able to all be in the same room at the same time while playing games is dope, and I really appreciate that about the Series X, and frankly that goes for just about any gaming console. Now whether or not this system is in either my living room, my desk setup, or even my projector, the all-in-one aspect of these systems and the simplicity behind it has a huge amount of value to me. All the apps on here are legitimately seamless between all the video apps like YouTube and Netflix, or the music apps like Apple Music and Spotify. For myself, I just dig having something like Apple Music on my projector while working, or in my living room simply just vibing out. All at the same time, I'm not really missing any of the music and communication I'd have on my PC while gaming, since there is Apple Music, Spotify, and even native Discord integration on here. All in all, it ends up being this tiny, sleek, all-encompassing system that gives me personally pretty much everything I need while gaming. Let's not forget as well, the disk drive on here is great for physical media and games, and nothing's really stopping you from ignoring Game Pass entirely and just buying out your collection physically as we once did in the past, or simply borrowing it from your local library. Now, is this system perfect? Absolutely not. Far from it, if I'm completely honest. I love it for what it is, but I also already own it, and I bought it when it costed a lot less and it had a lot more value, but I've also grown to love and appreciate this console for what it is. I can't say when you have other options like the PlayStation 5 on the market that are technically more affordable up front, sometimes it can be hard to justify this over something like that. On the flip side though, depending on who you are, there are some unique features to this system over others. You do get an absurd amount of backwards compatibility on the Series X, which I've heard is completely unreal, and I've heard there's a huge and deep modding and emulation community on here, which isn't really something I personally have the skill set to dabble with, but it's there if you want it. Of course, you also got things like Quick Resume that literally exist nowhere else, alongside Dolby Vision streaming support. When it comes down to streaming media, some people just really dig that. Now, between Xbox and PlayStation and PC and all that stuff, that is a video for another day, but what I can say is it really is okay to still love the Xbox. There actually is still a ton of value to be had with a console like this, especially the way the PC component market is headed. PC parts have gotten so depressing that it makes this bad deal seem good. Now, this video isn't me saying go out and buy an Xbox either, but if you are considering it, don't talk yourself out of a good time, since there is a lot to be had, and I truly still do love mine. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys watching till the end. Till next time.